Welcome to Technia TV. I am Dr. Sandeep Kumar. Today I am discussing the probability sampling and also its type. What is probability sampling? It is the method of sampling which gives the probability that our sample is representative of population. A probability sample is one that has been selected in such a way that every element chosen has a known probability of being included. The main characteristics of probability sampling are as follows. First one, in probability sampling, every individual of the population has known an equal chance of being selected as a sample element. Second one, in probability sampling, we refer from the sample as well as the population. The third one, in probability sampling, source list is used. Next one, probability sample may be representative of the population. The another one is the observations of the probability samples are used for the inferential purpose. There is also inferential or parametric test are mostly used for probability sample. Next, risk is associated in drawing conclusions from probability sample. And the last one, a sample is more representative of population characteristics. Now, I am discussing the types of probability design. The first one, that is the simple random sampling. A simple random sample is one in which each element of the population has an equal and independent chance of being included in the sample. A simple random sampling can be drawn using tossing a coin, throwing a dice, lottery method, blindfolded method, and by using random. There are three techniques generally used in simple random sampling. First one, lottery method. Second one, random numbers table, and the third one, random numbers generator. Now I am discussing the advantages and disadvantages of the simple random sampling. Advantages. First one, simple random sampling requires least information about the population concerned. Second one, it is free from prejudice. Third one, it provides proper data for concerned research. And the last one, the observations of the sample can be used for inferential purpose. The first disadvantage of simple random sampling is the representativeness of a sample cannot be ensured by this method. Second one, this method does not use the knowledge about the population. And the third one, the inferential precision of the finding depends upon the size of the sample. The second type of probability sampling is systematic sampling. It is a probability sampling procedures in which a random selection is made of the first element for the sample and then subsequent elements are selected using a fixed or systematic interval until the desired sample size is in systematic sample, every nth element within a defined population is selected. What are the advantages of the systematic sampling? The first one, it is a simple technique of selecting a sample. Second one, in systematic sampling, inferential statistics may be used. The third one, sample drawn from systematic sampling method may be comprehensive and representative of the population. There is also certain disadvantages. First one, it is not free from error since there is subjectivity due to different way of systematic list by different individual. Second one, knowledge of population is essential. Third one, information of each individual is essential. Fourth one, systematic sampling cannot ensure the representativeness. And the last one, risk is associated in drawing conclusions from the observations of the sample. The next type of probability sampling is stratified sampling. A stratified sampling is a probability sampling procedure in which the target population is first separated into mutually exclusive homogeneous segments, and then a simple random sample is selected from each segment. The samples selected from the various strata are then combined into a single sample. This sampling procedure is sometimes referred to as quota random sampling. Types of stratified sampling. There are three types of stratified sampling. First one, proportionate stratified sampling. Second one, disproportionate stratified sampling. And the third one, optimum allocation stratified sampling. Now, I am discussing the proportionate stratified sampling. It refers to the selections from each sampling unit of a sample that is proportionate to the size of the unit. Here, the number of elements allocated to the various strata is proportional to the representations of the strata in the target population. That is, the size of the samples drawn from each stratum is proportional to the relative size of that stratum in the target population. This sampling procedure is used when the purpose of the research is to estimate a population parameter. There are certain advantages of this method. First one, representativeness with respect to variables used as the basis of classifying categories. And the second advantage is increased chances of being able to make comparisons between strata. The disadvantages of this method is lack of information on proportions of the population in each category. Second one, that is the faulty classifications. Now, what is disproportionate stratified sampling? It refers to the stratified sampling procedure in which the size of the sample in each unit is not proportionate to the size of the unit but depends upon considerations involving personal judgment and convenience. That is, the number of elements sampled from each stratum is not proportional to their representations in the total populations. Here, the population elements are not given an equal chance to be included in the sample. The same sampling fraction is not applied to each stratum. On the other hand, the strata have different sampling fractions. This method of sampling is more effective for comparing strata which have different error possibilities. It is less efficient for determining population characteristics. Now, I am discussing optimum allocation stratified sampling. Optimum allocation stratified sampling refers to selecting units from each stratum be in proportion to the corresponding stratum of the population. Thus, sample obtained is known as optimum allocation stratified sample. It is representative as well as comprehensive than other stratified samples. It is designed to achieve even greater overall accuracy that achieved using proportionate stratified sampling. It sets the sample size of different strata, taking into account two important aspects of doing research. First one, cost, and the second one, precision. The sampling fraction varies according to cost and variability within the various strata. Disproportionate stratified sampling, more specifically optimum allocation, may be more appropriate for a study. than proportionate stratified sampling, when the strata differs in terms of data collection, cost and variability of the variable of interest. Optimum allocation may be applied, focusing on cost only, precision only, or both cost and precision jointly. There is certain advantage. First one, it is an objective method of sampling. Second one, observations from a stratified sampling method can be used for inferential purpose. It is a good representative of the population. Next one, a stratified sampling technique is an improvement over the simple random sampling method. There is certain disadvantages of this method. First one, in a stratified sampling method, it is difficult for the researcher to decide the relevant criteria for stratification. The second one, only one criteria can be used for stratification, but in generally seems more than one criteria relevant for stratification. It is costly and time consuming methods, and selected samples may be representative with reference to the used criteria but not for the other. Now I am explaining the another technique, that is the cluster sampling. It is a probability sampling procedure in which elements of the populations are randomly selected in naturally occurring groupings called cluster. A cluster is an aggregate or intact grouping of population elements. In other words, to select the intact group as a whole is known as cluster sampling. It involves the selection of population elements not individually but in aggregates. The sampling units or cluster may be space-based, such as naturally occurring geographical or physical units. Example, states, countries, census, tracts, blocks or buildings. Organization-based, such unit as school districts, school, grade levels or classes, or telephone-based, such as area codes or exchanges of telephone numbers. In cluster sampling, the sample unit contain group of elements, that is called clusters, instead of individual members or items in the populations. The heterogeneity of the cluster is essential to a good cluster sample design. There are certain advantages of this method. First one, it may be a good representative of the population. Second one, it is an easy method. Third one, it is an economical method. And the last one, observations from cluster sampling can be used for inferential purpose. There is also some disadvantages of this method. First one, cluster sampling is not free from error, and second one, it is not comprehensive. Now I am discussing multiple double repetitive sampling. Multiple sampling is most frequently used for establishing the reliability of a sample. In case of mail questionnaire, sometimes double sampling is used to obtain a more representative sample. This is because of the non-responding behavior of some of the respondents, and it is obvious the missing data will introduce bias in the result if the people who fail to reply differ in some fundamental way from the others in respect to the phenomena being studied. To eliminate this bias, a second sample may be drawn at random from the non-respondents and the people interviewed to obtain the desired information. Thus, this technique is also known as repeated or multiple sampling. This double sampling technique enables one to check on the reliability of the information obtained from the first sample. There are certain advantages of this method. First one, multiple sampling technique reduces the bias. Second one, it leads to the inferences of predetermined precision based on number of observations. It establishes the reliability of the sample. There are certain disadvantages of this method. First one, multiple sampling technique is applicable only for a small sample. Second one, this technique is time consuming, costly and requires more competitions. Third one, it is a complex technique with regard to planning and administration. Now, next technique is multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage sampling is more comprehensive and representative of the population. In multi-stage sampling, primary sample units are inclusive groups and secondary units are subgroups. Within these, ultimate units to be selected which belong to one and only one group. The stages of populations are usually available within a group or population whenever a stratification is done by the researcher. The individuals are selected from different stages for constituting the multi-stage sampling. There are certain advantages of this method. First one, multi-stage sampling is an objective procedure of sampling. Second one, it is an improvement over the earlier method. Third one, it is a good representative of the population. And the last one, the observations from multi-stage samples may be used for inferential purpose. The disadvantages of this method is, first one, multi-stage sampling is a complex technique and it involves errors when we consider the primary and secondary stage. Thanks. For the next lecture on non-probability sampling design, watch Technia TV. Thanks.